The morning sun was bright and warm as Officer Marcus Thompson started his shift in downtown Riverside City. He had been a police officer for 12 long years, and he thought he knew everything about the people who lived and worked in his area. Marcus was a tall man with short brown hair and cold blue eyes that seemed to judge everyone he looked at. He drove his black and white patrol car slowly through the streets, watching people go about their daily lives. Marcus had his own ideas about who belonged where in the city. The downtown area was full of expensive shops, fancy restaurants, and big office buildings where rich people worked. Most of the people who walked these streets were white and well-dressed. When Marcus saw someone who looked different, someone who didn't fit his idea of who should be there, he paid special attention to them. On this Tuesday afternoon in late spring, Marcus was driving past the main shopping street when something caught his eye. A young black woman was walking slowly on the sidewalk near one of the most expensive stores in the city. She looked to be about 7 months pregnant, with a round belly that she occasionally touched with her hand. She was wearing a simple blue dress that was clean but not fancy, and she carried a small brown purse over her shoulder. The woman's name was Sarah Williams, though Marcus didn't know this yet. Sarah was 28 years old and worked as a teacher at a local elementary school. She had taken the afternoon off because she had a doctor's appointment, and afterward, she planned to meet her husband David at his law office nearby. David was a lawyer who worked in one of the tall buildings in the downtown area. Sarah was walking slowly because her feet hurt, and her back ached from carrying the baby. She had been married to David for 3 years, and they were both excited about having their first child. The baby was due in 2 months, and they had already picked out names and decorated the nursery. Sarah was a kind and gentle person who always tried to see the best in people, even when they didn't deserve it. As Marcus watched Sarah from his patrol car, his mind started working in ways that had nothing to do with real police work. He saw a black woman in an area where mostly white people shopped and worked. To Marcus, this seemed suspicious. He had seen this before, he told himself. Someone who didn't belong, probably looking for trouble or trying to steal something. Marcus had grown up in a small town where there weren't many black families. His father had taught him to be suspicious of people who were different, and his mother had never corrected these wrong ideas. When Marcus became a police officer, he brought these bad feelings with him. Over the years, these feelings had grown stronger, not weaker. He had stopped many black people for no good reason, always finding excuses to question them or search them. Sarah didn't know that Marcus was watching her. She was thinking about her baby and wondering if it would be a boy or a girl. The doctor had offered to tell them, but Sarah and David wanted it to be a surprise. She smiled to herself as she felt the baby kick inside her belly. The little one was always active in the afternoons. As Sarah continued walking, she started to feel tired. The baby seemed heavier today, and the warm afternoon sun was making her feel sleepy. She looked around for somewhere to sit and rest for a few minutes. She saw a wooden bench near a small park area between 2 office buildings. The bench was in the shade of a big oak tree, and it looked like the perfect place to rest. Marcus watched as Sarah walked toward the bench. In his mind, this simple act of a tired, pregnant woman looking for a place to rest became something suspicious. Why was she stopping there? What was she planning to do? Marcus had been taught to think this way in police training, but he took it too far. Instead of seeing a person who needed help, he saw a potential problem that needed to be watched. Sarah sat down on the bench with a small sigh of relief. The shade felt good, and taking the weight off her feet made her back feel better. She put her purse on her lap and looked around at the people walking by. Everyone seemed busy and important, hurrying to meetings or rushing back to work after lunch. Sarah felt peaceful sitting there, watching the world go by. After a few minutes, Sarah remembered that she should call David to let him know she was running a little late. Her doctor's appointment had taken longer than expected, and she wanted to make sure David wasn't worried about her. She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. It was a simple phone, not one of the expensive new ones that some people had. Marcus was still watching Sarah from his patrol car, which was parked about 50 feet away. When he saw her pull out her phone, His suspicious mind went to work again. Why was she making a phone call? Who was she calling? Was she calling someone to come meet her? Was she planning something illegal? These thoughts were completely wrong, of course. Sarah was just calling her husband, something that millions of people do every day without anyone thinking it strange. But Marcus had made up his mind that Sarah was suspicious, and now everything she did seemed like proof that he was right. Sarah dialed David's number and waited for him to answer. While she waited, she looked around at the beautiful day and the people walking by. She noticed a police car parked nearby, but she didn't think much about it. Police cars were common in the downtown area, and Sarah had never had any trouble with the police before. Marcus made a decision that would change both his life and Sarah's life forever. He turned off his patrol car and got out. He was a big man, over 6 feet tall and strong from working out at the gym. When he walked, he moved in a way that was meant to make people nervous. His hand rested on his belt, near his gun and handcuffs, a habit that was supposed to show his authority. As Marcus walked toward Sarah, he felt sure that he was doing the right thing. In his mind, he was a good police officer protecting the community from someone who didn't belong. He had no idea that he was about to make the biggest mistake of his career. He didn't know that his prejudice and hate were about to hurt an innocent woman and her unborn child. Most importantly, he had no idea who Sarah's father was or how this knowledge would soon turn his world upside down. Sarah looked up as she saw the police officer walking toward her, and she felt a familiar knot of worry in her stomach. Sarah was still holding her phone, waiting for David to answer, when she noticed the police officer walking straight toward her. The man was big and moved like he owned the sidewalk. His face looked serious and unfriendly. Sarah felt her heart start to beat faster, but she tried to stay calm. She had done nothing wrong, so she had nothing to worry about, she told herself. Marcus reached the bench where Sarah was sitting and stopped right in front of her. He stood with his legs apart and his arms crossed over his chest. This was a position he used to make people feel small and scared. He looked down at Sarah with cold eyes that showed no kindness or understanding. "What are you doing here?" Marcus asked in a rough voice. His tone was not friendly or helpful like a police officer's voice should be. It was the voice of someone who had already decided that Sarah was guilty of something. Sarah looked up at Marcus with surprise. She had been expecting David to answer his phone, not to be questioned by a police officer. "I'm just sitting here waiting for my husband," she said politely. Her voice was soft and respectful. "He works in one of the office buildings nearby." Marcus didn't believe her. In his mind, her answer sounded like a lie. "Sure you are," he said with a mean laugh. "And I suppose you just happened to pick this expensive neighborhood to wait in?" Sarah felt confused by his attitude. She didn't understand why he was being so unfriendly. "This is a public bench," she said, still trying to be polite. "I'm allowed to sit here. I was walking to meet my husband, and I got tired, so I decided to rest for a few minutes." The phone in Sarah's hand started ringing. David was calling her back. Sarah looked at Marcus and said, "This is my husband calling. Can I answer it?" "No," Marcus said quickly. "Put the phone away. I'm not done talking to you yet." Sarah pressed the button to end the call and put her phone back in her purse. She was starting to feel scared, but she tried not to show it. "What do you want to talk about?" she asked. Marcus looked around and noticed that a few people had stopped to watch what was happening. This made him feel like he needed to act tough to show everyone that he was in control. "I want to know what you're really doing here," he said louder. "This isn't the kind of neighborhood where people like you usually hang around." Sarah's eyes widened when she heard those words. "People like me?" she repeated. "What do you mean by that?" Marcus realized he had said something that sounded very bad, especially with people watching. But instead of apologizing or backing down, he got angrier. "Don't try to twist my words," he said. "You know what I mean. Stand up." Sarah put her hands on her belly to protect her baby and slowly stood up from the bench. It was hard for her to move quickly because of her pregnancy. "Officer, I haven't done anything wrong," she said. "I'm just a teacher waiting for my husband. Is there some law against sitting on a public bench?" More people had stopped to watch now. Some of them looked worried about what they were seeing. A few people had started to pull out their phones, not to make calls, but to record what was happening. They could see that something was wrong with this situation. Marcus noticed the phones and the growing crowd of watchers. This made him feel even more pressure to prove that he was right to stop Sarah. "I don't care what job you say you have," he said. "I want to see some identification right now." Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out her wallet. She took out her driver's license and her teacher identification card from the school where she worked. Her hands were shaking a little as she handed them to Marcus. Marcus looked at the cards quickly, then handed them back to her. The identification showed that Sarah was telling the truth about being a teacher, but Marcus didn't want to admit he was wrong. "These could be fake," he said, even though he knew they looked real. "They're not fake," Sarah said, her voice getting a little stronger. "You can call the school if you want to check. My name is Sarah Williams and I teach 2nd grade at Riverside Elementary School." A woman in the crowd called out, "Officer, what did this lady do wrong? She's just sitting on a bench." Marcus turned toward the crowd with an angry face. "This is police business," he shouted. "Everyone mind your own business and keep moving." But people didn't move away. Instead, more people stopped to watch. They could see that Marcus was treating Sarah badly for no good reason. Some of them started talking quietly to each other about what they were seeing. Sarah's phone started ringing again in her purse. "That's probably my husband," she said. "He's going to be worried when I don't answer. Can I please just tell him where I am?" "No phone calls," Marcus said firmly. "Empty your whole purse on the bench. I want to see everything you have." Sarah looked shocked. "Why do I need to empty my purse? What crime do you think I committed?" This question made Marcus even more angry because he knew he didn't have a good answer. He hadn't seen Sarah do anything wrong, but he had gone too far to back down now. "Stop asking questions and do what I tell you," he said. "But I have rights," Sarah said. "You can't search my things without a reason." An older man in the crowd spoke up. "She's right, officer. What's your probable cause?" Marcus spun around to face the man. "I don't need to explain myself to you," he yelled. "This woman is acting suspicious and I have every right to investigate." "Sitting on a bench while pregnant is suspicious?" a woman in the crowd asked. Sarah felt a little braver hearing other people defend her. "I've been respectful and polite," she said to Marcus. "I've shown you my identification. I've answered your questions. What more do you want from me?" Marcus was feeling trapped now. The crowd was getting bigger and more people were recording with their phones. He knew that his behavior looked bad, but his pride wouldn't let him admit he was wrong. Instead, he decided to get more aggressive. "I want you to empty that purse right now," he said, stepping closer to Sarah. "And I want you to stop arguing with me." Sarah took a step back, her hands instinctively moving to protect her belly. "I'm pregnant," she said. "Please don't come so close. You're making me nervous." Marcus saw her step back and misunderstood it completely. In his angry mind, he thought she was trying to run away or resist his authority. "Don't you dare try to walk away from me," he said, reaching out to grab her arm. The crowd gasped as they watched Marcus grab the pregnant woman. Several people shouted for him to stop. Sarah looked scared now, and everyone watching could see that this situation was about to get much worse. Marcus's grip on Sarah's arm was tight and painful. His fingers dug into her skin as he held her in place. Sarah winced and tried to gently pull her arm free, but Marcus held on even tighter. The crowd around them was getting bigger, and people were starting to look very upset about what they were seeing. "Please let go of my arm," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "You're hurting me." She put her free hand on her belly, trying to protect her unborn baby. "I'm 7 months pregnant. I need to be careful." Marcus looked at Sarah's pregnant belly, but it didn't make him feel sorry for her. Instead, it made him angrier. He thought she was trying to make him look bad in front of all these people. In his twisted mind, he believed she was using her pregnancy to get sympathy and make him seem like the bad guy. "I don't care if you're pregnant," Marcus said loudly so everyone could hear him. "Pregnant women can be criminals too. You should have thought about your baby before you decided to cause trouble." The crowd gasped when they heard these cruel words. A young mother holding her own baby stepped forward. "Officer, she hasn't done anything wrong," the woman said bravely. "She was just sitting on a bench. This isn't right." Marcus turned his angry eyes toward the woman who had spoken. "Lady, if you don't back off and mind your own business, I'll arrest you too," he threatened. "This woman is resisting my orders and acting suspicious." But the crowd could see what was really happening. They could see that Sarah had been polite and respectful the whole time. They could see that she was scared and just trying to protect her baby. Many of them had their phones out now, recording everything that was happening. Sarah tried one more time to reason with Marcus. "Officer, my husband is a lawyer. He's waiting for me just 2 blocks away. If you just let me call him, he can come here and we can sort this all out peacefully." The mention of a lawyer made Marcus even more angry. He hated it when people threatened to call lawyers because it reminded him that he could get in trouble for his behavior. "Oh, so now you're threatening me?" he said. "You think having a fancy lawyer husband makes you special?" "I'm not threatening anyone," Sarah said quietly. "I just want to call my husband so he won't worry about me." Marcus twisted Sarah's arm harder, making her cry out in pain. "You're not calling anybody until I say you can," he said. "You're going to do exactly what I tell you to do." An elderly man in the crowd couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Son, that's enough," he said in a firm voice. "You're hurting a pregnant woman for no reason. This is wrong, and you know it." Marcus let go of Sarah's arm and turned to face the old man. His face was red with anger and embarrassment. "Old man, you better shut your mouth before I shut it for you," he said threateningly. The old man didn't back down. "I'm recording all of this," he said, holding up his phone. "And I'm going to make sure your boss sees exactly how you treat innocent people." This made Marcus lose control completely. He hated being recorded, and he hated being told he was wrong. All of his anger and prejudice came boiling up inside him like a volcano about to explode. He turned back to Sarah, who was rubbing her sore arm and trying to stay calm. "You think you're so smart," Marcus said to Sarah. "You think you can come into this neighborhood and cause problems and then hide behind your lawyer husband and your pregnancy?" Sarah looked at Marcus with sad eyes. "I haven't caused any problems," she said softly. "I was just sitting on a bench waiting for my husband. I don't understand why you're so angry with me." Her calm words made Marcus even more furious. He felt like everyone was watching him and judging him. He felt like Sarah was making him look stupid in front of all these people. His pride and his prejudice took over his thinking completely. "Don't give me that innocent act," Marcus yelled. "I know what you people are really like." The crowd went silent when they heard those terrible words. Everyone knew exactly what Marcus meant when he said, "you people." They could see his true feelings coming out now, and they were shocked and disgusted. Sarah's eyes filled with tears when she heard Marcus's hateful words. She had faced prejudice before in her life, but never this openly, and never while she was pregnant and vulnerable. "I'm a teacher," she said through her tears. "I teach children to be kind to each other. I don't understand why you hate me so much." Marcus saw the tears in Sarah's eyes, and instead of feeling sorry for what he had said, he felt like she was trying to manipulate him. His anger reached a breaking point. Without thinking about the consequences, without thinking about right and wrong, Marcus raised his hand. What happened next shocked everyone who saw it. Marcus hit Sarah across the face with such force that the sound echoed across the street. Sarah stumbled backward, nearly falling, but managed to catch herself by grabbing onto the bench. Her cheek was red and swelling already, and tears were streaming down her face. The crowd erupted in shouts of anger and disbelief. "Call 911, someone yelled. "Get his badge number," another person shouted. Several people rushed forward to help Sarah, while others continued recording everything. Sarah sat down heavily on the bench, one hand holding her injured cheek, and the other protectively wrapped around her belly. She was shaking all over, partly from the pain and partly from the shock of what had just happened. "My baby," she whispered. "Please be okay, my baby." A kind woman from the crowd knelt down beside Sarah. "Honey, are you okay? Do you need an ambulance?" she asked gently. Sarah nodded, still in shock. "I think so. I'm worried about my baby. The stress. The hit. I don't know if my baby is okay. Marcus stood there looking at what he had done, and for the first time, he began to realize how terrible his actions were. The crowd was angry and hostile toward him now. People were shouting at him, calling him names, demanding that he be arrested. "You hit a pregnant woman," a man in the crowd yelled. "What kind of police officer are you?" Marcus tried to defend himself. "She was resisting arrest," he said weakly, but even he knew how hollow those words sounded. Resisting arrest for what? The elderly man demanded. Sitting on a bench, being black, being pregnant. Sarah managed to reach into her purse with shaking hands and pull out her phone. She knew she needed help, and she knew exactly who to call. As she dialed the number, she had no idea that this phone call would change everything for Marcus Thompson. Sarah sat on the bench, her whole body shaking from what had just happened. Her left cheek was red and swollen where Marcus had hit her. The kind woman from the crowd was still kneeling beside her, offering tissues and asking if she needed medical help. Sarah's main worry was for her baby. She could feel the little one moving inside her belly, which was a good sign, but she was still very scared. Marcus stood a few feet away, looking confused and angry. The crowd around him was getting bigger and more hostile. People were shouting at him, calling him names, and demanding to know why he had hit a pregnant woman. Some people were still recording everything with their phones, and Marcus knew that this was very bad for him. "I want everyone to step back," Marcus said loudly, trying to sound like he was still in control. "This is a police matter and you're all interfering with my investigation." But nobody listened to him anymore. They had all seen what he had done, and they knew he was wrong. An older black man in the crowd shook his head sadly. "Son, you just made the biggest mistake of your life," he said. "Hitting a pregnant woman on camera? Your career is over." Sarah's hands were still shaking as she held her phone. First, she called her husband David. The phone rang twice before he answered. "Sarah? Where are you? I've been trying to call you." "Back," David said, his voice full of worry. Sarah started crying as soon as she heard her husband's voice. "David, something terrible has happened," she said through her tears. "A police officer. He hit me. I'm downtown near the shopping district, and I need you to come right now." David's voice became sharp and urgent. "What? A police officer hit you? Are you hurt? Is the baby okay?" "I don't know," Sarah sobbed. "My face hurts and I'm so scared for our baby. There are people here helping me, but I need you to come quickly." "I'm leaving right now," David said. "Stay on the phone with me. Don't go anywhere. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Sarah kept David on the phone, but she knew she needed to make another important call. "David, I have to call my father too," she said quietly. David understood immediately. Sarah's father was not just any ordinary person. He was someone very important in the police department, someone who could help them deal with this situation properly. "Yes, call him right now," David said. "I'll keep driving to you." Sarah ended the call with David and looked at Marcus, who was still arguing with the crowd. She took a deep breath and dialed a number she didn't call very often. It was a direct line that only family members had, a number that went straight to one of the most important offices in the city. The phone rang once, then twice. On the third ring, a deep, strong voice answered. "This is Chief Williams." "Daddy?" Sarah said quietly, her voice still shaking from crying. The voice on the other end immediately became soft and concerned. "Sarah, baby girl, what's wrong? You sound upset." Sarah took another deep breath. "Daddy, I need your help. I'm downtown and a police officer just hit me. I'm pregnant and I'm scared and I don't know what to do." There was a moment of complete silence on the other end of the phone. Then Chief Williams's voice came back. And it was different now. It was the voice of a man who was very angry but trying to stay calm. "A police officer hit you? My pregnant daughter? Where are you right now?" Sarah gave her father the exact location where she was sitting. "There are lots of people here who saw what happened, Daddy. They're all recording it with their phones. The officer's name tag says Thompson." Chief Williams was quiet for a moment and Sarah could hear him taking deep breaths. Sarah, I need you to stay exactly where you are. Don't move. Don't leave with anyone except David. I'm coming right now. Is there anyone there taking care of you? Yes, there's a nice lady here helping me, and lots of people are standing around. Making sure I'm safe, Sarah said. Good. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Sarah, I love you, and everything is going to be okay. This officer is going to face the consequences for what he did to you. Sarah ended the call and put her phone in her lap. The kind woman beside her asked, "Did you reach your family, honey?" "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "My husband and my father are both coming." Marcus had been trying to control the crowd, but he noticed that Sarah had made 2 phone calls. Something about the way she had spoken during the second call made him pay attention. Her voice had been different, more confident, like she was talking to someone very important. "Who did you just call?" Marcus demanded, walking closer to Sarah. The crowd immediately moved to protect Sarah. "Stay away from her," several people said at once. "You've done enough damage." Sarah looked up at Marcus with sad but determined eyes. "I called my father," she said simply. Marcus laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Oh, great. Another person who's going to threaten to sue me or get me in trouble. Lady, I've heard it all before. Everyone claims they know someone important when they get arrested." The elderly man who had been recording everything shook his head. "Officer, you really don't understand what you've done, do you?" "I know exactly what I've done," Marcus said stubbornly. "I've tried to do my job and investigate a suspicious person, and everyone here is making it seem like I'm the bad guy." A woman in the crowd spoke up. "You hit a pregnant woman who was sitting on a bench. How is that doing your job?" Marcus was getting frustrated because he knew they were right, but his pride wouldn't let him admit it. "She was resisting my investigation," he said, but even he could hear how weak that sounded. Sarah's phone rang again. It was David calling back. "I'm almost there, Sarah. I can see the crowd. Are you still okay?" "I'm okay," Sarah said. "My father is coming too." Marcus heard this and rolled his eyes. "Great, now the whole family is coming to cause more problems," he muttered. But something about the way Sarah talked about her father was different from the usual empty threats Marcus heard from people he arrested. Sarah seemed calm and confident, like she knew her father could really help her. This made Marcus a little nervous, but he pushed the feeling away. A few minutes later, David arrived. He was a tall, well-dressed man in a business suit, and he looked very worried and very angry. He pushed through the crowd and knelt down beside Sarah, checking her injured face and asking if she was hurt anywhere else. "The baby?" David asked, quietly. "Still moving," Sarah said, taking his hand and putting it on her belly. "I think the baby is okay, but I'm still scared." David stood up and looked at Marcus with cold, angry eyes. "Officer Thompson, you're going to pay for what you did?" "To my wife." Marcus was about to make another rude comment when he heard the sound of car doors slamming nearby. He turned to look and saw a black sedan with official license plates. Someone very important had just arrived, and Marcus was about to find out exactly who Sarah's father was. Marcus turned to look at the black sedan that had just pulled up to the sidewalk. The car was clearly official, with special license plates and tinted windows. Marcus felt a small knot form in his stomach, but he told himself it was probably just another lawyer or city official coming to cause trouble for him. The car door opened and a tall, strong-looking black man stepped out. He was wearing a crisp police uniform, but this wasn't just any police uniform. The man had silver stars on his shoulders and ribbons on his chest that showed many years of service and achievement. His presence commanded immediate respect from everyone who saw him. Marcus felt his blood turn cold as he recognized the man walking toward them. It was Police Chief Robert Williams, the highest-ranking police officer in the entire city. Chief Williams was Marcus's boss, and his boss's boss, and his boss's boss's boss. He was the man who could fire any police officer in the city with just one word. The crowd immediately went quiet when they saw Chief Williams approaching. Everyone in the city knew who he was. He had been the police chief for 8 years and was respected by both the police department and the community. He was known for being fair but very strict, especially when it came to police officers who broke the rules or treated people badly. Chief Williams walked straight to Sarah, completely ignoring Marcus for the moment. His stern face softened immediately when he saw his daughter sitting on the bench with a swollen red cheek. He knelt down beside her, his eyes full of worry and love. "Sarah, baby girl, let me see," Chief Williams said gently, carefully examining her injured face. His voice was completely different from the commanding tone he used at work. This was a father worried about his child. "I'm okay, Daddy," Sarah said, though tears started flowing again when she saw her father. "But I was so scared." He grabbed my arm really hard and then he hit me. I was just sitting here waiting for David. Chief Williams gently touched Sarah's cheek, and his jaw tightened when he saw how swollen it was. "Did you feel the baby move after he hit you?" he asked quietly. "Yes. The baby is still moving," Sarah said, putting her hand on her belly. "But I want to go to the doctor to make sure everything is really okay." "We'll go to the hospital right away," Chief Williams said, kissing Sarah's forehead. "Everything is going to be fine now." Marcus stood frozen in place, watching this scene unfold. His mind was trying to process what he was seeing, but it was too horrible to believe. The pregnant woman he had just hit, the woman he had grabbed and yelled at and treated like a criminal, was the daughter of Police Chief Williams. Chief Williams stood up slowly and turned to face Marcus. The look in his eyes was like ice. Marcus had never seen the chief look so angry, and he had never been so scared in his entire life. His hand started shaking and he felt like he might throw up. "Officer Thompson," Chief Williams said in a voice that was quiet but terrifying, "would you like to explain to me why you just assaulted my pregnant daughter?" Marcus tried to speak, but no words came out. His mouth opened and closed like a fish, but his throat felt completely dry. The crowd around them was dead silent, watching this incredible moment unfold. I didn't know," Marcus finally managed to stammer. "You didn't know what?" Chief Williams asked, stepping closer to Marcus. "You didn't know she was my daughter? Does that matter? Would it be okay to hit someone else's pregnant daughter?" Marcus realized how terrible his words sounded. "No, sir, I mean, I thought she was—" "You thought she was what, Officer Thompson?" Chief Williams's voice was getting louder now. "You thought she was suspicious because she's black. You thought she didn't belong in this neighborhood because of the color of her skin?" The crowd started murmuring angrily. They could all see exactly what had happened here. Marcus had targeted Sarah because of his racism and prejudice, and now he was trying to make excuses for his behavior. Marcus knew there was no good answer to give. Everything he might say would only make things worse. "Sir, I was trying to do my job." "Your job?" Chief Williams said, his voice full of disbelief. "Your job is to serve and protect the community. Your job is to help people who need help. Your job is not to assault pregnant women who are sitting peacefully on public benches." David put his arm around Sarah's shoulders, helping her stand up slowly. "Chief Williams," he said respectfully, "I think we should get Sarah to the hospital to make sure the baby is okay." Chief Williams nodded. "You're absolutely right." He turned to address the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying here to help my daughter and to witness what happened. Your recordings and testimony will be very important." Several people in the crowd spoke up at once. "We got it all on video, Chief. We saw everything he did. That officer was completely out of line." Chief Williams looked back at Marcus, who was still standing there in shock. "Officer Thompson, you are suspended immediately pending a full investigation by Internal Affairs. Give me your badge and your gun right now." Marcus's hand shook as he unpinned his badge from his uniform. This badge had been his identity for 12 years. It represented his authority, his power, his livelihood. Now he was losing it all because of his hatred and prejudice. Chief Williams took the badge and gun from Marcus. "You will report to Internal Affairs first thing tomorrow morning. You will not speak to any other officers about this incident. You will not contact my daughter or her husband in any way. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Marcus whispered. "I can't hear you," Chief Williams said sternly. "Yes, sir, I understand," Marcus said louder, his voice cracking. Chief Williams helped Sarah walk toward his car. "The ambulance is on the way to meet us at the hospital," he told David. "We'll make sure both Sarah and the baby are completely okay." As they reached the car, Chief Williams turned back one more time to look at Marcus. "Officer Thompson, you have disgraced the uniform, disgraced this department, and disgraced yourself. In my 30 years in law enforcement, I have never been more disappointed in a police officer." Marcus stood alone on the sidewalk as Chief Williams, Sarah, and David drove away to the hospital. The crowd was dispersing now, but many people were still recording him and taking pictures. He knew that by tomorrow, the whole city would know what he had done. Marcus had started this day thinking he was a good police officer protecting the community. He was ending it as a suspended officer who had assaulted the police chief's pregnant daughter in front of dozens of witnesses. His career was over, his reputation was destroyed, and all because he had let his prejudice and hatred control his actions. As Marcus walked back to his patrol car, he finally understood what the old man in the crowd had meant when he said this was the biggest mistake of his life. Marcus had thrown away everything he had worked for, all because he couldn't see past the color of Sarah's skin to recognize her as a human being who deserved respect and protection. The truth was now clear for everyone to see. Prejudice and hatred don't just hurt the victims. They destroy the people who carry them in their hearts.